So I guess the biggest news in this sprint is that we will release HCL RTist 11.3 general availability release. We did a pre-release of this before, but now it's recommended for production use. So this version of RTist runs on Eclipse 2022-06, and another news is that it runs with Java 17, which, well, of course, is newer than Java 11, so you get some performance improvement just by switching to this JVM. We also worked on a problem that we received from one of our customers that had to do with a special situation where a capsule could receive a message before it was initialized. So this was a quite special situation, but nevertheless fully reproducible. So we have worked on changing the target RTist to avoid that this situation can occur. So more about that later. We then continue to work also on improving the model debugger. So among other things, we fixed the problem in the user interface and target RTS that could lead to state activation events being lost when tracing. And as part of this work, we also added a button in the UI that could be used for sending arbitrary text messages to a debugged application. We used this ourselves for troubleshooting the above mentioned problem, but we thought then this can actually be useful also for customers to implement their own custom tracing, for example, to the console or to a log file or something like that. So we'll also show that in the demo. We have implemented support for pure virtual operations with bodies. So this was not supported neither by the UI nor the model compiler before, but now it is. There is a new tool in most diagrams. We call it Make Space in Diagram, and its purpose is that you can use it for making space basically in a diagram that is crowded. By clicking at a point, then symbols around the clicked point will move outwards so that you can get enough space for inserting something new in the diagram. We also worked on improving the appearance in diagrams for inherited elements. This was a comment we have got from users over the years many times, but now finally we had the time to do something about it. We did it by introducing some preferences, as you will see in the demo, that make it easier to distinguish local, inherited, and redefined elements by means of the line style. And also we actually changed the default appearance, so you can decide if you like the new appearance or if you would like to set the preferences to get the old appearance of diagrams. We also continued our effort to modernize our compiler support. So now there is a target RTS configuration for GCC 12, which is the latest version of GCC compiler provided in the installation. Of course, even if this replaces the GCC 7 and 4 configurations, this doesn't mean that you have to switch to this compiler. The old ones can still be used. But by upgrading this one and using it for our own builds, we actually find some new things by the better support for warnings, for example, in these more modern compilers. However, note that the libTCP server component or library is not yet available for this compiler out of the box. So you could, of course, build it yourself, but the version that is there for GCC 4 and 7 is not working with GCC 12. There is some change in the link format, so you would have to build it yourself, but we are of course working on providing this, and it might come potentially in an iFix or patch that we will release at some point in time. So then summarizing what we will deliver after this sprint, we have a new version of 11.2 called 2023-04 for Eclipse 2021-06. And we planned this to be our last 11.2 release, but like I said, most likely there will be a patch coming with some additional fixes that we think also would be good to have on the 11.2 release track. And then going forward, our main efforts will now go into 11.3. and we will ship the first GA version now, but then there will come subsequent updates, of course, as usual, with new features on the 11.3 release stream. And this one runs on Eclipse 2022-06. We didn't change anything in the older versions, so those are still the same. Just a note that if you happen to use something as old as 10.3, you really should consider upgrading, since it will run out of support in April. And the experimental features we have is the same as last time. So we have the text-to-state machines also included in 11.3, but just like in 11.2, it's still an experimental feature.